Okay, so just a quick sort of conclusion to the build. The biggest change from the last video to this video in the build is just we went more into magnitude of shock. As you saw in the video, the gameplay one, we can get up to about 78% shock. That mainly comes from the shock nodes that we got here, and each of these little blue sapphires are crit chance and magnitude of shock. So for example, this one's 16 here, this one's 12, and then we got a 14 over here and a 15 over here. That's been the biggest difference in the build so far. Other than that, all we really did was change our rings so that there was some chaos res, and I'm not sure if this was in the last video or not, but we got some attack speed gloves as well, and we made sure to get that 38 mana per enemy killed as well. Skill wise, the changes have been just, I think it was just the Orb of Storms and the Frost Wall. We also have Lightning Conduit that we're still using to get that increased damage from the magnitude, because it consumes, or the magnitude of shock, because it consumes the shock for more damage. I have tried running 2 Lightning Conduits. It's just mana is a problem. That's what the problem the build always faces. And really it's because of the mana problems that I'm sort of, done with this. As you can see, it does handle tier 14 maps. I'm pretty sure it handles maps as high as they go. The only thing it doesn't really do well, and I think it won't be able to do it well, at least the way I'm building it right now, is once it gets swarmed by mobs, it sort of dies. It takes almost a bit too long to kill the mobs sometimes. For example, sometimes I need to. It's weird saying it, but they don't die in a single auto attack from Stormwave. Sometimes I need to hit them 2 or 3 times for one of the shock spells to trigger. Which maybe that could be solved just by, once again, getting better gear, getting more levels. Because what we could do is just grab increase energy here for meta skills, increase energy here for meta skills. We can get a corrupted helmet that gives I think it's like something like 30 to 50% increased energy for meta skills. We can also just grab this node here once we get our 4th ascendancy. But I don't think that would solve all the problems of the build, because I think at the end of the day we're always going to have mana problems once we get to a boss. It's just the way the build sort of is right now. If I was to redo this in a different way, maybe just go all in on mana regen, and not rely on mana remnant or the mana from the gloves, but instead we're just relying on mana from the tree and the gear. So flat life on the or flat mana on the rings, flat and mana regen on the rings, to the point where we have something like 300 or more mana per second. Maybe then it'd be something better, but at that point every single slot of items I think would be costing a divine, because we do have to keep up with our attributes as well. We have to keep up with our resistances. If we're not doing chaos res and we're going CI, then we have to get more heavy into energy shield, and we have to redo our tree a little bit for energy shield instead. It's just a balancing act, and at this point, with how much time I've spent playing this build, I'm sort of bored of the balancing act. I want to try a different build, basically. And so that's what I'm going to do. This build, I'm going to put it away for now, and then just play something new. I don't know what I'll end up playing, but maybe it's Gathering Storm. That skill does look cool to me, and the fact that you can get almost like 800% or more damage on a perfect strike of Gathering Storm, I like that. So I might do that, of some variant of that. But for now, this build is done. The other change I did want to mention, the other gear change we made was this one. So I'll just go over the gear, since it's not likely to change again in the future. So the gear is just this staff. Really, you don't need a +5. You can just do a +4. All you would really, at least for this build, you just want a lot of crit. And then the 2 rings with chaos res. We have the same helmet we had before, same choir, same chest piece. The gloves that may have changed, I don't remember. The belt, and then the same crappy shoes that we've always been wearing. Gem-wise, nothing really should have changed except this Orb of Storms and the Frost Wall. The Frost Wall is really just there for this chill here, and for the fact that it just adds that extra. It makes the build feel better for whatever reason. You know, it's sort of like let's say if you were to play POE 1 and you had Ice Shot and you were freezing the entire map, and you turned your sound off, the build would just feel bad to play. But once you put the sound on, it just feels so much better to play. It's the same sort of reason here. It's more aesthetic than anything else. But it does give you extra target to hit. You do get some extra acquire procs on it. You can crit off it. It's more things to hit, and it gives you this chill here. But other than that, it's just aesthetic. Tempest Bell, completely useless. It's activated by Ice Strike. I never really use Ice Strike and put the Tempest Bell down. I just keep using Storm Wave instead. So those two can be removed. We have our Herald of Ice, Full Take Mark. I don't remember if I used it in the last in that map at all, but it's there to use. And then we have Elemental Expression as always. No real changes here. Same with Lightning Bolt. We might have put Lightning Mastery here, which might be new, and Fire Mastery here. But other than that, there shouldn't really be any changes for any of the skills. For Storm Wave, all we really did was as much damage as possible without increasing our mana cost. And then Ice Strike just had basically leftover skills. And that is really it. So we'll see what I end up playing on the new build. It might just be Gathering Storm. Or I might try another different Ascendancy. I'm not sure yet. I definitely don't want... So the few things that I'll sort of try to always stay away from is I don't want to play Hoa ever. I feel like you can slap Hoa onto the worst build. To the worst build you could think of, you just put Hoa onto it. Do Gemling, stack enough attributes, it'll be good. It'll play as if it's one of the best builds. So I don't want to do that ever. So I'm never gonna do Hoa. Yeah, we're just gonna play around with something interesting, something that makes the game fun, without it being broken. Yeah, so that's about it, really.